Randolph along with Rick Horton. Good to have you with us. Rick, David Freese, the local boy. Freese, he's not cold, he's hot.
He certainly is hot, Jay. He's had a great homestand. David Freese is the Cardinal third baseman. There's no questioning that now. He has learned to go the other way very well. It's his natural stroke. And not only is he picking up RBIs, he's showing power the other way. A couple of home runs in this series. And he's a big part of every rally. Hitting the ball the other way, scoring runs. He's playing third base very well as well. And David Freese, certainly a big part of this Cardinal offense.
And when we come back, Frank Cusimano talks it over with David Freese.
Baseball on News Channel 5. It's a pleasure to get together with David Freese. And, you know, we're all familiar with that Babe Ruth story about hitting a home run for the sick kid in the hospital. You've had some pretty timely home runs. Yesterday, the Freese grandparents in the ballpark for the 60th wedding anniversary?
Yeah, we had about 30 people up in a suite. So it was, real special to get them down. They didn't even know that, we got it for them. So it was pretty cool. I'd like to say I was trying to hit a home run for them, but, when it left the yard, I heard they were pretty happy.
And then the other day, your first home run of the season with the Lafayette kids in the section of the stadium where you actually hit the home run in right field.
Yeah, and once again, I wish I could say I was trying to put the ball there, but, that was cool. I heard about that after the game. It's just been a good week. We're winning ball games, and, that's what we got to be doing.
One thing that Tony says about you that he's so impressed with is after a good game, you're not in there celebrating. But has there been a time when you're home alone and you think, oh my gosh, I'm hitting home runs for the hometown team, the Cardinals here?
Yeah, I think when you're playing well, you got to appreciate that. Because this game will get you. So when things are going bad, you got to understand that there's always tomorrow and things can turn around. But on the other hand, it can bite you in the tail pretty quick. So. We just go out there and, play hard, and that's the cool thing about baseball is that you can turn it around the next day.
Tell me about your opposite field stroke. I know you worked with Scott Cooper in the offseason. You're working with Mark McGwire now. Is this something you've had for a long time?
Yeah, I've always been able to drive the ball pretty well that way. I just try. I'm a gap hitter, and sometimes it leaves the yard. Some weeks I'm pulling the ball, some weeks, I'm driving it the other way. It just kind of depends on what the pitchers are trying to do to me. So, we'll see what guys are trying to do later on.
I don't think there's many kids in the big leagues that have their mom and dad at every game. It's almost like Little League. Do you know where they're sitting? Do you ever look up in the stands or no?
No, I know. I don't even know where the family section is. But it's great to have them at the game. Dad's out of town a lot, but when he's in town, he comes to the games, and the mom will bring some friends and or family and whatnot. But it's cool just to look around here and see all the fans that come to these games, whether it's raining or not. This place packs out.
Dave, congratulations on a great beginning.
All right, I appreciate it, Frank.
All right, that's David Freese, and Cardinal Baseball continue right after this on News Channel 5. Channel 5 on a gorgeous day at Busch Stadium. Well, that Cardinal bullpen was a question mark heading into the season. It's now an exclamation point. They've been outstanding, including Jason Mott, whose ERA is now under 2. Here's more on the marvelous Mott. If Jason Mott could just avoid pitching in the opening series of the season, 2008.
How many times did you see it in the first half last year?
2009.
It's that line drive out to left field. Mott knew it.
But he has been resilient.
Game relief. You don't have a tough makeup and understand, just like a hitter. Sometimes I tell you make outs. If every time you make an out, it destroys you. You're not a good hitter. So, he's a tough guy.
In fact, after that series in Cincinnati, Mott has been magnificent. Heading into the weekend, Mott put together 8 consecutive scoreless appearances. And Mott is now doing it a bit differently, with a little less power and a little more precision.
He's able to back off a little bit from everything 200%, which is what he does. And able to back off and maybe able to get his breaking ball over.
It hasn't been easy either. We are talking about a career catcher who didn't start pitching until 4 years ago.
He's been able to really adapt to this role in a way that not many people could. I mean, the transformation has existed and tried a lot, but not many people are successful.
Some of Mott's catching instincts were evident Tuesday night when he made maybe the play of the year so far for the Cardinals. I mean, I didn't know you were that athletic.
Oh, well, you should have known that. No, it was just one of those things that I saw the ball off, and I just kind of went back to my catching days when you had to kind of spin and throw, sliding. So I just kind of did that, and luckily it went to where I wanted it to go.
Where Mott goes next in his career is the question. Once groomed to be a closer, now a setup guy, well, Mott doesn't seem to mind.
I want to go out there. I want to do whatever I can, whether it's in the 6th inning, getting one batter out, or if it ends up being the 9th inning, getting the last 3 outs, or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to go out there and I want to get the guy out that's in front of me and hopefully help the team win. That's all that I really care about.
I hit H1N1.
Cardinals baseball on News Channel 5 is brought to you by Budweiser. You want to go home with me tonight? I'm the designated driver. Budweiser, responsibility matters. By Commerce Bank. Want more in a banking relationship? Call, click, or come by. Commerce Bank, member FDIC. And by Sunset Ford. Don't make a deal till sunset. Well, a very nice afternoon in downtown St. Louis as we get set for the action. The third game of this series with the Reds. Crowd coming in. Bit of a late arriving crowd on this Sunday afternoon. There's the manager, Dusty Baker of the Reds, 60 years old, the Californian. Had 19 seasons in the major leagues. Here is his Reds lineup for today.
And the problems in that lineup are the two lefties in the middle. Joey Votto, the first baseman, swings a great bat, and Jay Bruce is as hot as anybody in this lineup. He's been on a tear on this road trip. The Reds were very good in Houston, and they've come in and played well here in St. Louis.
Chris Carpenter, his sixth start of the season. The National League comeback of the player last year with that 17-4 record. Led the league in ERA. The defensive alignment for the Birds.
Always great when Chris Carpenter pitches. There's the defense. Stavanoa getting the start this afternoon in left field. Matt Holliday with a rare day off. Rasmus and Ludwig are the other outfielders. Freeze, Ryan Schumacher, and Pujols on the infield. And Chris Carpenter, you know, I guess folks have said he's not the Chris Carpenter of the past, but, you know, he's still 3-0, Jay.
He sure is a guy who knows how to pitch. And here is the first pitch of the game presented by Toyota. And it's in there for a strike. Drew Stubbs leading off. Stubbs, the 25-year-old Texan, three-time All-American at the University of Texas. Strike two. Stubbs is batting 176. He's a .333 hitter lifetime against Carpenter. That didn't take very long. Strikeout number one.
Drew Stubbs could have phoned this at-bat in. He didn't have to actually bring the wood to the plate at all. He could have just stayed in the dugout. Three straight nasty pitches from Chris Carpenter, including that curveball, to send him back to the dugout.
70 degrees as we get underway here. Brandon Phillips batting in the 2 slot. 247 the average. Hitting 182 in his career against Carpenter. Phillips, born in North Carolina. Grew up in Georgia. Phillips has hit in 4 straight games. In fact, he's hit .328 in his last 18 games. Fly ball into right. Ludwig is there. 2 away.
It's very interesting to watch Chris Carpenter warm up for his start here this afternoon. I watched him go down to the bullpen. It was actually at 12:57. Played catch with Yadier Molina for about 4 minutes. Threw 20 balls, including long tosses up to about 100 feet. Then started throwing off the mound at 1 minute after the hour. And ended up throwing a total of about 52 pitches before he gets out on the mound to start the game. So starting pitchers, we keep their pitch count, but they throw a lot more just to get ready.
Here is a foul into the seats off the bat of Votto.
And here's the 100-foot tossing that he did with Yadier Molina, just trying to stretch his arm out and get loose. Obviously not throwing off-speed pitches when he did that, but once he got on the mound, worked all of his pitches and took a little time off in between, and the whole ordeal takes about 15 minutes for a pitcher to get loose.
The preparation of each pitcher, very important to him as he starts his day and gets set to go to the hill.
And that preparation actually starts when the pitcher wakes up in the morning. What do you have for breakfast? When do you get up? What do you do between then and when you get to the park? Stretching out with the trainer. What other kind of things you do mentally to get ready for a team? All that stuff adds up to Chris Carpenter being ready to pitch here this afternoon.
And he strikes out Votto after a half inning of play. No score.
Schumacher, Ludwig, Pujols, Rasmus, Freese, Molina. Stabenoa getting the start in left. Chris Carpenter hitting in the 8th spot, and Brendan Ryan swinging the bat better, as you mentioned, Jay, since he's gone into the 9th spot in the lineup. And Aaron Harang is matched up against Chris Carpenter a number of times. He's getting tired of this. 7.16 ERA on the season. There was a couple-year period when he was probably one of the top 3 starters in the National League. And his production has gone down the last couple of years, but he's still a battler.
Schumacher standing in, batting .216. And he fouls the first pitch off to the left side. 1 home run and 4 RBIs, 2 for 6 in the series. Schumacher in his career batting .296 against Harang. Had the big hit in the ball game yesterday
against the lefty.
Way outside. Harang is from San Diego. Went to San Diego State. 6th round pick of Texas in '99. It's foul back.
And Jay, those good years we were talking about, 2006, 2007, he won 16 games in both of those years and was in the top 5 in the Cy Young balloting both times. In fact, in '07, he came in 4th, and he was 1 behind Brad Penny for the Dodgers, who was in 3rd place that year.
In their opening day starter for the last 5 years. This is slap foul. Yeah, you know, Rick, in '06, he led the league in wins and strikeouts and did not win the Cy Young.
There's Brad Penny. How important has he been to this Cardinal team?
Terrific. Had a little trouble with the ball in the rain the other night here, but it's been just a great addition to this pitching staff. 2-2 the count. Strikeout. Schumacher doesn't say much, but the catcher was set up inside and looked like a very good pitch. Let's see.
Veteran pitchers hit their spot and might have been, boy, tough to take that pitch. Perfect pitcher's pitch from Aaron Harang. And you might ask the question, where does the diminished production come from with Harang? I don't think he's throwing nearly as hard, Jay, as he used to. And he used to be able to get people out up in the strike zone with his fastball, and he's had to adjust a bit from that.
Here's Ludwig. A strike on the corner. Harang has been on the DL 3 times in the last 5 years, and that maybe has taken its toll a little bit with him.
It certainly does.
Ludwig, a .292 lifetime hitter against Harang. That's low, 1-1. Ludwig, 31 years old now. Grew up in Nevada. Has a cut, comes up empty. Many of you may remember that Ludwig played a season of baseball up in that Alaskan League at Anchorage, and he strikes out. Both pitchers looking very sharp in the early going as we take a look at the Reds defense this afternoon.
And they've got very good defensive infielders. 3 guys on the infield who've won Gold Gloves. Roland has 7, Cabrera 3, and Phillips 1. So you know they can pick it. Bruce has got the plus arm and right.
Here's Albert, a 6-game hitting streak going for him. Couple of RBIs yesterday. Batting .344, leads the club in home runs with 7, with RBIs with 21, and he's a .316 hitter lifetime against Harang. Two balls and no strikes.
And what a day he had on opening day. Albert, in the game that Harang started, Albert was 4 for 5 in that particular game, including a home run. He later hit a home run off of Mike Lincoln. So a good start to the season for the Cardinals and for Albert, and they've been in first place ever since, Jay.
Have not been headed, have they? strike over the heart of the plate. His defensive alignment.
Amazing how far Joey Votto is off the line. You wonder whether he can get back to cover the base or not if the ball is hit on the left side.
Albert fouls this out of play. Harang was traded to the Reds in July of 2003. Over from Oakland. I mentioned he was originally a drafted player from Texas, or for Texas, the Rangers. That was back in '99. A hot shot. Scott Rowland makes the play. After an inning, no score.
And welcome back to Cardinal Baseball News Channel 5. Frank Cusimano with Cardinal General Manager John Mozeliak. Scott Rowland at the plate to lead off the second inning. The man who used to play third base. Now the guy who's playing third base for the Cardinals, David Freese. When you made that move to Jim Edmonds to San Diego, did you think that Freese was an eventual starter in the big leagues?
Well, all our scouting reports had indicated that he would be. We just had to be patient. And then unfortunately he had that car accident that definitely set him back. But obviously excited to see what he's doing this year, and we really believe he's going to be an everyday player for us for years to come.
Tony talked about Freese not getting excited after big games and really having some great big league composure.
Well, I think, he's been through a lot, and for him to do what he's done so far this year, it's great to see, but how he's handling it and how he's matured has been a big part of that success.
I got to ask you the story. Everybody's discussed it. Ryan Howard, the $25 million a year contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. How will that affect the Albert Pujols negotiations?
I think it's a little too early to tell, and frankly, I think Albert's situation will be independent of really what happens in that marketplace. But obviously, it's a lot of money for one player, and our goal will always be to try to keep Albert in a Cardinal uniform for his career.
And you won't negotiate during the season?
No, Albert, myself, and his agent discussed this this past off season and decided it made most sense just to keep it quiet.
John, we appreciate the visit. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Jay and Rick, back to you.
Thank you very much, Frank, and thanks to the GM. Mo does a terrific job of communicating with Cardinal Nation. And Mr. Carpenter now has struck out 3 as Rowland goes down.
When they eventually get into that negotiation, John Mozeliak will be on the one side of the table, Albert will be on the other, and there'll be about, I don't know, 500,000 Cardinal fans behind John Mozeliak. In spirit, perhaps not in the room, but they certainly want Albert, we all do, to be a Cardinal forever.
Look at this play by Ryan. We'll show it to you again. You want to put a star around this one. Bruce batting .265 hit that ball, and it looked like for sure it was up the middle.
Well, does defense matter or not? I say it does. How about the range of Brendan Ryan? Acrobatic throw, off balance, right on the money. Bruce runs well, Jay, and for Ryan to get rid of this quickly enough to pick him off at first there is testament to his arm.
Orlando Cabrera bats. He is the top RBI man for the Reds with 14. 167 lifetime against Carpenter. Jammed him, fouled back into the seats. The plate umpire this afternoon is the crew chief of this group, Gary Darling. Bill Hahn at first. Bruce Dreckman is the umpire at second base, and Paul Emmel is at third. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Four strikeouts in the early going for Carpenter, who is spot on right now. During this homestand, you can take $5 off Lowe's box seats for the Nationals and Marlins series May 17th through the 20th, and that could lead to a discount as high as $30, meaning $5 tickets. Stay tuned and save. So far, the Cards are 5-1. The tickets are, I think, around 25 right now. I wonder how low the discount will go. For more information, visit Cardinals.com. 1 ball to count to Colby Rasmus. Colby hitting in the cleanup slot today with Holiday out of the lineup. On Thursday, he got his first chance to hit in this spot, and he went 2 for 2, had 2 walks, and scored 4 runs, and had his average up to 344.
0 for 8 since then, but in the 4th spot, Colby produced, as did David Freese in the 5th spot, which is the way the Cardinals lineup is situated today. Freese in that game was 3 for 3 with 6 RBIs. Had an incredible game against the Braves, and he's been really good, and so is Colby for this entire homestand.
1 ball and 2 strikes. I asked the manager about 2 hours ago about a few problems Colby has had throwing from the outfield, and Dave McKay is going to work with him on this road trip. But it's just he's got a very good throwing arm. It just seems to be a matter of concentration with him.
Yeah, and some of it's the mechanics of what he does. He just has not really learned how to approach the ball correctly from being behind it and getting his motion going towards home. Catches a lot of balls flat-footed, which makes that throw harder. He was a all-world pitcher in high school. He threw 95 miles an hour, so he's got an arm. Billed as a plus arm outfielder, but right now he's a below average outfielder in terms of his arm. But I think there's some work to do, but he's got a lot of upside.
Out into short center field, and now the center fielder will take it as he called off Nix. Rasmus flies out to start this second inning.
That's the thing, Jay, about young players. Young players are often learning some things about the games by the time they get to the big leagues now. Things that you would have learned and maybe been more conditioned to do at the minor league level. They get to the big league so quickly, some do, that you have to teach them those lessons up here.
David Freese, he's been a delight on this homestand, batting .409. Freese with a .333 average, the 15 RBIs, and a couple of home runs now. It's inside. David was born in Texas, but of course has lived here in the St. Louis community for many years. Lafayette High School, all state there.
I like the comment he made to Frank Cusimano about he doesn't even know where the family section is here as far as tickets. I think one of the things that a player often has problems with if you play in the town that you grew up in is dealing with kind of the friends and the family and all the stuff, ever on a daily basis when you've got a job to do. And it seems like he's kind of set up some appropriate boundaries to where he's just worried about what happens between the lines.
3 balls and 1 strike.
I learned that from Dave Rucker, a former teammate, after I'd left 45 passes the first time I went to New York. And I was a nervous wreck in the bullpen. He said, well, you won't do that again.
Here's a shot to left. Back. Gone! Home run number 3 for David Freese.
Well, David Freese can do more than hit with power the other way. He pulls this pitch on the inside part of the plate against Aaron Harang, and he gets quite a bit of this one. It goes into the Reds bullpen, the back of their bullpen. Long home run for David Freese.
Here's Molina.
That guy hit some long home runs. Whew.
Molina with 15 RBIs in the month of April. That ties his best month ever in the big leagues. Yachty batting .260. He's .250 lifetime against Harang. Two balls and 1 strike. 390 we're told now on the home run.
And Freese seems so comfortable looking, doesn't he, Jay? As long the more he spends time at this level in the big leagues, it just seems like he belongs here. I mean, he doesn't have that kind of deer in the headlights look at all.
Out to the shortstop. Cabrera throws on. 2 away. Follow the Cardinals every Sunday morning at 10 with the Sunset Ford Cardinal Nation Show. 30 minutes of in-depth stories, interviews, and features. That's the Sunset Ford Cardinal Nation Show right here on your home for Cardinal baseball, News Channel 5. Nick Stavinoha getting the start today with Halladay getting a rest.
Stavinoa has been productive off the bench, 4 for 12 as a pinch hitter. Batting .308 overall. And the home run he had was a big one against Trevor Hoffman. And that ended up giving the Cardinals the lead and the eventual victory in a game in Milwaukee, and gave Ryan Franklin the save. So he's been productive in his limited opportunities.
As you mentioned earlier, he leads the club in pinch hit at bats with 12. It's a little low, 2 balls and a strike. He does have the 4 hits, batting .308. As the 1 home run, a very dramatic home run it was, Rick.
It was.
Here's a shot that is foul. Good wood on that one.
He's always hit at every level. The question has always been, what's his position? Even when he was in college, he DH'd a lot. He's caught some, but an outfielder, infielder, not really a plus defensive player.
And the strikeout, number 3 for Harang. The Redbirds have got the lead early. The home run off the bat of David Freese. Inning. Check out that crowd through the first inning fan cam and see who's enjoying this game. Budweiser, that's what we do. Let's check in with Frank Cusimano.
Jay, in his last 6 games, David Freese is 10 for 19. Not bad for a kid who actually quit playing baseball after high school for a year and went to Mizzou. Now let's send it back to Jay Randolph, who's in the booth right now with another St. Louis high school player who played third base for the Cardinals, Mike Shannon.
CBC's Mike Shannon, the voice of the Cardinals, in fact. How you doing, old Irish?
All right, after that beating I took yesterday. Some days you eat the bear, some days the bear eats you, but he had the whole lunch, I'll tell you that.
They were running in the mud, and it didn't work out. But
that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be with you. And
the same.
How about the way
Freese?
This one is going today?
Wow. Frank had it right. 10 out of his last 19 with 3 home runs. He's been hot on this homestand.
Nick's hit that ball hard, but flies out to left. And here is Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan, who has 10 RBIs in his last 34 at bats, but is 167 lifetime against Carpenter.
Nice to see Chris off to a good start. He looks good today, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Extremely sharp. Ryan coming on.
How about that play Ryan made earlier?
Awesome. Really awesome.
Is he too much or what?
It's Six Flags Day at Busch Stadium. Join us here at the park Sunday, May 23rd. The Cardinals take on the Angels. All fans 48 inches and under receive a free ticket to Six Flags. And for tickets to the game, visit us online at Cardinals.com. Here's Harang, a decent hitting pitcher. He's batting .250, has an RBI.
Used to be, you couldn't get on that one big ride they had down there. You had to be, like 40 inches high. So I took my grandson and put him on my toes. I didn't tell his mother till we were finished.
Snuck him in, so to speak.
Well, he was all right.
Yep.
48 inches. Didn't say if you had to be sitting on your toes or not. You wouldn't do anything like that, though, Jimmy.
Well, after this one today, it's a week in Pennsylvania.
That's right. Philadelphia and then Pittsburgh. Well, that Philly team is loaded, aren't they?
They are.
Harang looks like he's a little overmatched here. If he gets the K, Carpenter will have 5 as he's gone through the lineup. 3 consecutive innings. If he can get this third one by him. I bet you he does. Nope.
Oh, he got a little piece of it.
Not much.
Very little.
Mike got more of him than he got rid.
The Redbirds are leading. It's 1-0 here in St. Louis. Join News Channel 5 for this year's Komen St. Louis Race for the Cure. It's time to sign up now by visiting ksdk.com. Save the date, June 12th, so you can help join the fight against breast cancer. Kids enjoying themselves out there as we go to the bottom of the third inning, and it'll be Carpenter, Ryan, and Schumacher, and hopefully more. Birds up 1-0.
So we're allowed to root up there, huh?
Sure.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Yeah.
Carp needs some rooting. He's 0 for 10.
Well, I don't mind if he's 0 for 11.
He sets down the next 9 like he took care of the first 9.
That's right. And I just don't want him to hurt himself down
there. You go. Sounds good to me. I'll make the switch with you.
It catches the corner. A man from New Hampshire.
Don't have too many Cy Young Award winners up in New Hampshire, do we?
Nope.
Look at that.
Here we go. Man, he hit that ball hard, didn't he?
He looked like he wanted to get a hit this time.
Carpenter has his first hit of the season.
Got that pitch up and out over the plate. Watch it. Can't pitch up there. Boom. I say one thing for Chris. He went right with it. What you're supposed to do.
Brendan Ryan batting in the 9th spot. And in the last 4 games, he's batted there, and he has 4 hits and 2 walks and a .400 on-base percentage. So he's kind of enjoying that bottom slot.
Yeah, that's so important, that 9th position, or 8th, depending if you're. But right now, what Tony's doing is using him as a leadoff hitter, basically. The only problem now, he's got the pitcher on in front of him, which is a good thing.
That's a little low.
It's very controversial, you know. You could say, well, now, if Ryan got the hit, then the pitcher could be bunting. I mean, there's 100 ways you can look at it. None of the ways or the criticism bothers Tony La Russa, though. He's going to do it the way he wants to do it. It's worked out very well for him.
He said to me earlier this week he was surprised he didn't catch more flack when he started.
Yeah,
this
they're
again.
too used to it now. You know, they know they're going to get the same answer. I don't even ask him. He volunteers. Right. I do my show with him. He says, well, I'm going to hit the pitcher 8th again tonight. Then I ask him the next question.
You get to visit with him every game.
Yeah, it's fun too. I tell you, he's never at a loss for the reasons why he does any particular thing, and I mean never. Always has a reason.
2 balls and no strikes.
Rang not very comfortable with this situation. Anytime that pitcher gets on against you, usually bad things can happen.
That's a little low, and it's 3-0.
Looked pretty good, didn't it?
Again, the crew chief, Gary Darling, is behind the plate this afternoon, the veteran umpire. Just caught the corner. 3-1.
Might have been even up for the last. That's okay. Everybody's square now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Great day. Hit and run.
Hit and run, and it is going to work out. How about that? The manager let Carpenter run, and Ryan gets the ball on the ground and moves him over.
Boy, Shue got a big hit yesterday in the Cardinal win.
Oh, did he?
He would like to add to the 1-0 Cardinal lead.
Skip struck out back in the first inning.
Borderline call.
We watch Carpenter work, of course, Mike, and he works very speedily.
And that's why he usually gets good defense behind him, because everybody's peppy and they're on their toes.
Rang takes a lot of time. That's outside.
Well, a lot of times, too, when a guy's not going very well, he's a little confused out there. So, but he's always been a fairly slow worker.
The Redbirds with the home run from Freese. That's the 21st home run the Cardinals have hit here at home this year. They've only given up 1 home run here.
Okay. We've got a promotion now where you, for every Cardinal win on this homestand, you
just
get
talked about that in the last inning.
Yeah, they'll be giving those tickets away. If they win this one, it'll be what? We had 6 out of 7 wins. So that's $30. Some of those tickets only cost about 35 or something like that.
3 balls and no strikes.
When was the last time you bought a ticket to get into a baseball game? I wouldn't know, would you?
No.
They make us come, right?
Yeah, we got to come.
Yeah.
There's a strike. 3-1. Carpenter out there at second.
There's how the defense stacks up, just dead straight away, infield, outfield. Center fielder shades 1 step out towards left center.
A shot into center field. Carpenter's going to be held up. That ball got out there to Stubbs so quickly that Oquendo had no choice but to hold up Carpenter.
Well, two reasons. You don't want to get your pitcher hurt. As you see this line shot as the shoe man drills it into center field. And you don't want to get your pitcher hurt, and they don't run as quickly, most of them anyway, as your regulars. So Oquendo put the stop sign up. Plus the fact that you have your 2 and 3 men coming up. That's another reason why.
Ludwig also struck out back in the first.
Remember Scipio Spinks?
I do indeed.
That's why they don't send pitchers home when it's a close play. Of course, he was dealing with Mr. Bench. But all of these catchers, well, 90% of them, they really know what to do blocking that play.
Woo-hoo. In the hole and left. Carpenter comes home 2-0. RBI for Ludwig, number 11 on the season. Don't miss the concert event of the summer, the Eagles with special guests, the Dixie Chicks, June 24th right here. Tickets start at $50. They can be purchased at Cardinals.com, LiveNation.com, Cardinals Clubhouse stores, and select Schnuck stores. The Eagles at Busch Stadium on June the 24th. A run home, 2 on, 1 out. Pujols stands in. He hit the ball very, very hard, but down to Roland, who made a nice stop to end the first inning.
They play Albert to pull, and you can see where the second baseman is. He's really playing in the pull. The first baseman all by himself over there. The left fielder's kind of shallow out there. I think he'd like to throw somebody out. Nix.
1 ball and 1 strike to Albert.
Center fielder and right fielder, they're going to give them a run. They can forget about it as far as they're concerned with Albert at the plate. Infielders, even though the double play is in order, they're all deep, especially that second baseman.
Outside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
This is the pitch right here. If he's going to try to get Albert, he'll try to throw a strike here. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to want too much of it.
Foul out of play.
He challenged him there.
Yes, he did.
Came right after. Now you would think you'd go back to something off speed, but you never know. I said, well, I got away with it once. Should I try it again? Be careful.
And that's low, and the count is full.
So do you start the runners here? You want to manage? Yeah, the runners at first and second. You're in the 3rd inning. You're leading 2-0. You want to...
What would you do, manager?
Well, I think I'd start them.
I would agree with that. Let's see if we're right or wrong.
Well, we could be right or wrong. It doesn't matter because Tony's been pushing the buttons down there, and they'll be running.
Time called.
They want to get a new sign. Ryan wasn't happy with the one he had.
Another big crowd on hand here. And a foul.
Oh, all 3 of us in agreement. Sometimes, though, he'll start him, and then the second time he won't.
Well,
I would think he'll start him again, though, with Albert up there. He has a lot of confidence in Pujols. And he got some pretty good speed out there, too.
Yeah.
And they can't keep Schumacher too close because of their defense.
Struck him out. The throw down to third.
Got it.
Got him. Double play. That's going to do it. We've played 3 innings here at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals lead 2-0.
Baseball fans, make your next game day part of a great
Get started at a banking center or go to bankofamerica.com/Cardinals. By the Dave Sinclair Automotive Group, a proud sponsor of Cardinals baseball. And by McDonald's. Eat your way to the stadium during Cardinals Ticket Fest at McDonald's. Drew Stubbs struck out to start the game. He hits this one deep, and it is off the wall, and a stand-up double, and the first hit of the game for Cincinnati.
Tell you what, it's bat at bat, pitch per pitch in this business, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
See that Stubbs is not off to a very good start. Gets one right in his wheelhouse, and he didn't miss it, did he?
Oh, he hit it right on the nose. He's been, as I mentioned earlier, a pretty good hitter against Carpenter, .333 in his career. Phillips fly to right, back in the first. And he bunts. A nice play by Freese.
That goes 5-3. That was a heck of a play by Freese. It looks easy when you do it right. Watch out. You'll have the. You always throw off the. You catch the ball in your bare hand when you're on your left foot, and then you let it go. Watch and see if he does it perfectly, doesn't he? Although he had to take that extra step, and that's very tough. The reason he did is because he was so far in. A good bunt. Man, that Phillips, he can handle that.
Votto struck out in the first inning.
No, you got. You can just watch in the early going. It looks like Carpenter, who was breezing in those first 3 innings, a little uncomfortable now.
This is outside with that one. 2 balls and no strikes.
Taking a lot off that breaking ball today. Getting it up there in the mid-70s. But he's missed to the first 2, and Votto is always dangerous. Got the bases open.
Votto is a Canadian, 26 years of age. In the second round back in 2002. Very accomplished hitter. And he is walked. First pass issued by Carpenter. Sunday's game day on News Channel 5. Join us next Sunday. The Cardinals will be in Pittsburgh. They win Window World Cardinals game day preview comes your way at noon. The Cards and the Pirates next Sunday on your home for Cardinal baseball, News Channel 5. Michael will be there where the Allegheny and the Monongahela meet to form the Ohio.
That's an Ohio breaking pitch there, man. Wow. Big time.
Strike one to Scott Rowland, who struck out to start the second inning. Rowland from Jasper, Indiana, the former Cardinal.
Made the old pitcher's best friend here.
Curveball a little high.
Looked like he almost stuck his elbow out there to hope that it hit him. I think he and the home plate umpire talking about that right now.
Runners at the corners.
You know, even if a player is hit by a pitch, the umpire sometimes say he didn't try to get out of the way. You know, that's in the rule book.
We have seen that.
And if it's over the plate, they can call a strike on it.
Good pitch on the inside corner, 1-2.
Bob Gibson had a great scoreless inning streak going, and that happened to him. I think he hit the Dodger catcher, and they said it was over the plate, and he's called it a strike or something. I mean, it was very controversial. There's a lot of rules in this game, aren't there?
Carp's battling that mound a little bit. He doesn't seem
I'm a little uncomfortable in this.
He's pleased with where he's landing. Rowland, the 5-time All-Star. Outside, 2-2. Stubbs at third. Votto at first. We're in the fourth inning. Redbirds lead 2-0.
There it is.
And
thank you very much.
It's 6-3. 6-4-3. I left the 4 out. The double play ends the threat. 2-0 St. Louis. What's on tap, presented by Bud Light. The Cardinals and the Phillies, game 1 of that 4-game set tomorrow. Jaime Garcia against Joe Blanton. Rasmus leads it off, bottom of the 4th. A strike. Obi flied to center field back in the second inning. It'll be Blanton to pitch in game 1 for the Phillies against Garcia, and then Wainwright and Hamels in game 2. Penny and Loesch will follow for the Cardinals, but the Philadelphia club has said that they are not ready to announce who's going to pitch in those Wednesday and Thursday games yet, Mike.
Well, you never know. They're going to wait and see what Blanton does, okay? Because they may have a guy in the bullpen they were figuring on starting. And they'll see Blanton make his debut for 2010. He's been on the DL.
Right.
I was kind of looking forward to the two lefties hooking up with Hamels and Garcia. We'll see Hamels the second day.
Yeah. 3 night games and an afternoon game, a 4-game set, and then it's on to Pittsburgh. Little check swing, and Kobe is out number 1. This date in Cardinal history, May the 2nd of '54, Musial becomes the first major league player to hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader, and I believe that was in New York against the Dodgers. I'm guessing. No, it was Sportsman's Park, wasn't it? It was Sportsman's Park. I thought it was.
Well, then the next guy to do it or tie that record was from St. Louis also. His first name was Nate. Remember him?
Yeah.
Nate Colbert from the
Nate
Padres.
Colbert. Freeze is out, 6-3. Every time I think about Musial, I always think about his games in Brooklyn. He had
That's where he got his man. Is that man again?
Is that man again? Right.
So they
That's the man.
started calling him Stan the Man. He tore those guys up, didn't he? Of course, they weren't alone.
Ebbets Field.
They had a lot of friends.
Ebbets Field.
I got to play that last series in Ebbets Field.
It was a bit of a bandbox.
Well, down the lines, but not in center field.
No, not in center field.
Take you a 2-day cab ride out there in center.
Molina grounded out in the second inning.
And by New York cab fare, that's about $40.
Did you ever play in the Polo Grounds?
Nope. Which one? Where was Willie made his great catch? That was a Polo Grounds, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah,
the thing that always fascinated me, and my uncle took me to the Polo Grounds a couple of times, and at the end of the game, all of the players start running to center field. I've never been there before, and I realized
that's where I played at Polo Grounds.
Yeah, the Polo Grounds, the locker rooms were beyond center field.
Right. Yeah, that's where I played that last series in the Polo Grounds before they moved.
I saw Mel Ott play there.
Wow.
He was a dandy.
Yes.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Yachty.
Dandy curveball there, too, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Both these guys on. Thank goodness the Cardinals are on top here.
That just missed outside. Harang wanted that one. Thought he deserved it.
Blame him. Yachty's happy, though. Here's, wow, he can do all this. Holy mackerel. That looked pretty good, too, didn't it?
Gary Darling behind the plate.
Can't argue balls and strikes in this business anymore.
Fouled away.
Automatic ejection. Now you can come out there and say whatever else you want to say, but don't talk to him about balls. And even if you walk out there, they'll put their hand up. Don't come out here. And no, I want to ask you a question. Ask about the temperature, see if there's rains in the forecast, but you can't talk about balls and strikes.
Struck him out. That's number 5 in the strikeout department for Aaron Harang.
Superior drinkability, ultimate refreshment, a splash of 100%.
Before work or before school, join News Channel 5's Art Holiday and Jennifer Blome, St. Louis's favorite weekday morning show. Today in St. Louis. The latest news, traffic, and weather. Today in St. Louis begins at 4:30 a.m. right here on News Channel 5. Here's Jay Bruce, the count of 1-1. It's a little low. Bruce, who grounded out in the second inning. 2-4-0 for the Redbirds. 0-1-0 for Cincinnati. My favorite left-hander, Mr. Horton, has rejoined us.
Nice to be your favorite left-hander, Jay.
Yes, sir. 3-1 the count. Mike and I were talking about all of a sudden Carpenter not looking quite as comfortable on the mound. He was pawing at it and having problems, I think, with where he, plants that foot.
Exactly. He looked like he was struggling with the landing in particular, and also where he's kind of got the groove right in front of the rubber, but his comfort level was down. This pitch gets away from Yachty.
And Bruce will be at first base. I thought for a moment it was a foul ball, but it looks like it's hard for us to tell from here.
Well, it's going to be a strikeout wild pitch, I would assume, as Molina not able to handle that pitch. Not the location Carp was looking for.
And they're saying pass ball. Strikeout and pass ball.
Yeah, Yachty should have been able to handle that. Yachty very angry after his strikeout in the last inning. He slammed his bat down, slammed his helmet down, and I think he's still seeing red right now.
Here's Cabrera into short right field. Ludwig coming on. One away. They're the most accurate weather team in town. Cindy Pressler, Scott Connell, Mike Robertson, Anthony Slaughter. They've won the Weather Rate Seal of Approval for 6 straight years as St. Louis' most accurate. The Weather Plus weather team only on News Channel 5. Here's Nix, who flied to left back in the third. Nix is from Houston, Texas. Graduated from Midland, Texas High School out in the great Permian Basin. 4th round pick. Texas in 2000. He went to Milwaukee, then in 06. Signed by the Reds to a minor league contract in December of 08. Been on the DL 5 times in his career. 2 balls and no strikes. There for a strike.
Maybe he has too many muscles. Maybe that's why he's been on the DL so much. Guy looks like he could lift a house. Very strong looking player. And he hits the Cardinals well.
Well put together. That's way wide. Nix came into the day batting right at 200.
And you mentioned Carpenter dealing with the landing. It just seems as if he's been a little uncomfortable ever since then, and he's missed his location a couple of times this inning. And we'll see if he can pull it back together again or not.
His first 2 innings were just magnificent, of course. And the walk. That's the second. 2 on and none out. Traveling this season? Take the Cardinals with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today and see every Cards game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Cardinals.com for details. Local in-market blackouts will apply. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Ryan Hannigan grounded out in the third. Carpenter could use a ground ball here. Well, he is just having a tough time all of a sudden, and here comes Dave Duncan. He wants to talk it over with him. It is obvious that Carp is not himself all of a sudden.
Well, Dave Duncan always has these soothing words to get you out of kind of the funk you're in. He's got two guys there. Both guys on the mound right now he's talking to are frustrated. Yadier Molina is frustrated because of his last at-bat and the pass ball, which allowed Jay Bruce to get on board. And the pitcher's frustrated because he's not hitting his spot. So sometimes you need a third voice in there just to kind of calm things down, get it started over again. And for Carpenter, it's a matter of getting that right release point. I don't think his velocity's changed since the beginning of this game.
No.
But the command has.
2 balls and no strikes. Nice job by Loesch yesterday. Shame he didn't get the win, but certainly a much improved performance.
Well, he was outstanding, wasn't he?
Yes.
Absolutely deserved the win. Ryan Franklin picked it up in relief. But that's another good sign for the Cardinal rotation.
There's a strike.
Even that pitch there, Jay, 92 miles an hour, same velocity, but flatter. That pitch is on the inside part of the plate, and you're not going to get a ground ball with that. Had Hannigan been swinging, probably a get-me-over fastball since he was behind in the count, but not the sharpness, not the downward break on that fastball that he had early on.
That's fouled out of play. 2-2. The Cincinnati Reds are 6-6 on the road this year. They're 4-1 on this current road trip.
They really took care of the Houston Astros, and boy, have they gone in the wrong direction, that club.
Cubs are leading the Diamondbacks 6-0 in the 3rd inning at Chicago. Oh, yes. Strikeout number 6. When you get together some of the biggest voices in St. Louis, you get big opinions, good or bad, right or wrong. They're telling it like it is. See what everyone's talking about. Watch I'm Just Saying weeknights during News Channel 5 at 10. Harang grounded out in the 3rd. And a little shot out in front. No problem. Cincinnati strands 2. The Reds lead 2-0 after 4.5 innings. Baseball on News Channel 5 is brought to you by Hardee's. Try the new grilled cheese bacon thick burger only at Hardee's. By Dave Munganast Lexus of St. Louis and Plaza Lexus, who invite you to test drive a Lexus today. And by Fairmount Park. Party at the park every Friday evening at Fairmount Park. And a big day at Fairmount yesterday it was. 9 live races and the Derby and everything going on. Packed and jammed.
You sound like you know what you're talking about that sport, Mr. Randolph.
Sometimes, but the lines were long, but it was great to see everybody out yesterday.
Had youngsters enjoying the game.
It's bat day today. The Albert Pujols bats given away. It's been a nice weekend of gifts for Cardinal fans. Stavanoa, Carpenter, and Ryan due here in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Redbirds up 2-0. Home run by Freese in the 2nd. Carpenter scoring after leading off with a hit in the 3rd on a single by Ludwig. Marlins leading Washington at Florida 7-3. They're in the 8th inning. And a fair ball, a fine stop by Roland. Not in time. Oh, what a play Roland made, but it was for naught. As Stavanoa legs it out.
We've seen Scott Rowland do this time and time again. He has great range going to his right, bounces up. Strong throw to first, but Stavanoa runs decent. And an infield hit for Nick Stavanoa.
And although Carpenter had that leadoff single in the 3rd, he'll be asked to bunt right here. The second baseman, what in the world is he doing way over there? Obviously, they got the role play on, and he's coming to first base. Play is made, but he was way out of position for that first pitch.
Just daring Chris Carpenter to swing the bat, but Brandon Phillips is moving more towards first base, and what we're going to have is both the 3rd baseman and Votto charging hard to get this bunt from Carpenter. I'd bunt it to first if I was Carp.
Throw down to first. Not in time. I don't know what Phillips was trying to do down there.
Well, he's trying to be tricky is what he's trying to do. He's trying to pretend he doesn't have the ball, and it went into the outfield, and then try to tag the runner Stavanoa, but Dave McKay wasn't having any of that.
2 balls and no strikes. Fouled away.
Chris Carpenter was actually trying to swing a half swing at that bunt to hit it past Scott Rowland. He was charging so hard that was kind of a half swing, and he was actually trying to bunt it past Scott Rowland. Watch how he pushes at it. He's trying to get that ball down the 3rd base line. Scott Rowland's heartbeat increased by about 50%.
Look at Rowland.
I bet he comes hard again though.
Oh, he tried it again. 2-2.
Now, I wonder if you foul that off on 2 strikes, whether they would call that a bunt or a swing. He's actually got it in bunting, the bat in bunting position, but he's actually swinging at it. I think that'd be an interesting question for the home plate umpire. If he fouls it off trying that again, not sure if he's out or not.
Yeah, that would be the umpire's decision, I suppose, but see what they do here. He is bunting. It's high, and it's a full count.
Well, do you bunt and run? Do you hit and run? Jose Oquendo giving the signs. The problem here is the Reds are being so aggressive in fielding this. You may be bunting into a double play even if you get the bunt down, because Rowland is so close to home, and so is Votto. Bunt and run.
And very nicely handled. The sacrifice is good. Frank Cusimano has a little information for us. Frank?
Well, Jay, I was talking to a couple of members of the Reds organization before the game, and they said that Scott Rowland changes the way we take batting practice. Scott Rowland changes the way we pick up ground balls. He changes everything. that this organization has a lot of young players. The work ethic wasn't great, and even when Ken Griffey Jr. was here, they felt that Griffey at this stage of his career was not the hardest worker. And it doesn't really matter if Rolen hits 260. He has changed the entire franchise.
Well, that's very good information, and of course, for those of us who got to know Scott when he was here in St. Louis, a very professional player and a guy who understands the game. Here's Ryan, grounded out in the third. Stavano out there at second, one out. And into left center, and it gets down. Stavanoa coming home. And a double for Ryan. He's liking it in that number 9 slot.
Well, it's a big hit out of the number 9 slot for Brendan Ryan as he turns on this fastball and drives in Nick Stavanoa. The sacrifice bunt helps out, and the Cardinals manufacture a run. A lot of talk this year about the Cardinals scoring via the home run only, but that run certainly manufactured. Infield hit, sacrifice bunt, and a hit for Ryan.
Here's Schumacher, who has struck out and singled. A little low.
If Stavanoa does not go on that bunt on the 3-2 pitch from Carpenter, could be a double play.
Yep.
So the aggressiveness of Tony La Russa there, sending Stavanoa, pays off.
That's wide. 2 balls and no strikes. Skip Schumacher, 30 years old, from Torrance, California. And this one out into center. Stubbs is there on the warning track. And tagging up is Ryan, going into third.
Sent that ball a long way, didn't he?
He did. That ball just kept carrying. Another opportunity for Ludwig, who had the RBI single in the third after striking out in the first.
Cardinals have done a pretty good job of spreading out the RBIs, Jay. It's not just Albert's show. Albert does lead the team with 21, but Ludwig, Rasmus, Freese, Molina, all with 11 or more RBIs.
In for a strike. Into right field, on the run, Bruce, and he makes the play. Redbirds pick up another run after 5. 3-0 St. Louis. Guard present Name That Cardinal. You folks out there, can you name him?
I sure can, Jay.
Yep.
Kurt Ford, outfielder with the Cardinals for 4 years in the 80s. He could hit a fastball. Johnny Morris was a teammate of ours, and he used to call him Ernie, like Ernie Ford.
Ernie Ford.
And he'd just give one of those Sesame Street characters, and Bert and Ernie, he'd have one in his bag and make road trips with us. Kurt Ford still lives here in the St. Louis area, part of those kids clinics that we do, and just a wonderful guy, great Cardinal.
Stubbs struck out in the first, doubled, and was stranded at third in the fourth, and he leads off the sixth for Cincinnati. 0-2 the count. I don't know what Dave Duncan said to Carp when he came out to the mound, but it seemed to straighten things out.
Now, I actually was bugging that conversation. Here's what he said. He said, stop what you're doing and do something else.
Good advice. No question about that.
I'm sure it was a little more complicated than that.
Duncan's rapport with his staff, one of the most remarkable factors of the chemistry of Cardinal baseball.
He's got a very unique personality, too. If you spend time with Dave Duncan, you realize he's a guy that can be almost dour at times, very serious, but yet, when he's talking about a subject he likes, he gets very animated and excited, and he's a wonderful interview.
He really is.
He's just very glib and very open and very honest, and I think it's hard not to respect his history as a pitching coach, number one. He's been doing it for 31 years, 15 years here in St. Louis, been with Tony La Russa the whole time. And so he's got tons of experience, and he's not going to see something this year he hadn't seen before about 10 times. So, got to love him.
That's just foul outside of third. The Yankees are shutting out the White Sox 10-0 in the seventh inning at Yankee Stadium. That's high and tight. It is a full count. Frank, let's go down to you for some thoughts.
Well, I think it's interesting, too, as great a pitching coach as he is. Check out this final pitch. As great a pitching coach as he is, Rick, he doesn't get into the technical side as much as you may think. That he's more of a kind of a Norman Vincent Peale power of positive thinking kind of pitching coach. And he's magical. He's the best in history, but he's more of a positive thinker than a mechanical guy. Would you agree?
No doubt about that, Frank. You're absolutely right. As Carpenter retires Drew Stubbs, he does not spend a lot of time talking about your elbows here, your knees here, your backs here. I see more of that going on with 12-year-old kids at Little League games when everybody's trying to correct their mechanics. But for Duncan, he's thinking about how to attack the hitter. He was a catcher, so he knows what the hitter's thinking about, and he's not so mechanical. He's more kind of positive and certainly about the mental aspect.
Nice play by Schumacher out there at second, throwing out Stubbs. Well, and Marty Mason is, of course, credited with a lot of the work that goes into the mechanics.
Absolutely. They're a great team. Marty will notice if a guy's arm slots off a bit. And he does, Marty never likes the credit. Every time we talk about Marty or show him on camera, he always complains about it. But I don't care, Marty. We're going to talk about you, whether you like it or not. We might just keep the camera on you for about 2 innings, Marty. We'll show you. But he does help these guys out a lot, and certainly works with the bullpen guys throughout the game. Marty was a former pitcher in the Cardinal system for a number of years. Was a good pitcher, in fact. But he gets where your elbow should be and where the hand should come out of the glove and the landing spot and all that. And he'll help out guys, watch a lot of film. But Dunk's going to do exactly what Frank said, positively reinforce guys to make the pitch where they need to make it.
0-2 the count. They asked for an appeal at first, don't get it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Detroit is leading Los Angeles. The Angels 5-1 at Detroit. They're in the 9th inning there. Toronto is a final 9-3. Toronto winning at home from Oakland. Boston and Baltimore tied 2-2 in the 8th at Baltimore. Tampa Bay 1-0 over Kansas City in the 8th inning at Tampa Bay. 3-0 St. Louis here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Foul out of play.
Tampa Bay is some team this year.
They really are the only team that has more wins than the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals are going to go and play a pretty good team in Philadelphia. I would say Philadelphia, when it's all said and done, is going to be leading the National League East.
Back to Carp. Over to first. Are you a Facebook fanatic? Become a fan of News Channel 5 on Facebook. Simply look up KSDK or link to us by clicking on the Facebook icon on the KSDK.com homepage. Share your views, the latest news and stories about St. Louis, on air or online. News Channel 5 is where the news comes first. Joey Votto struck out and walked. One ball and 1 strike.
Carp has been very economical with his pitches. Aaron Harang thrown quite a few more pitches than Carpenter has. Carp still doing that and getting strikeouts.
Votto has it out into right for a single. This guy is a very good hitter, Rick.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He had some issues that were well documented about dealing with anxiety and had to go on the disabled list, couldn't play, and he's certainly one of the talented young hitters in the game of baseball.
On the DL for 20 games, yet he still had a .322 batting average, 82 runs scored, 25 home runs, 70 walks, and 44 multi-hit games. It looked like he wanted to go on that one and didn't.
Well, it's a tough combination to go on. Chris Carpenter gets rid of the ball quickly. Yadier Molina gets rid of the ball quickly. You better get a great jump, Mr. Votto.
Down by 3 runs right now. Roland struck out in the 2nd. Grounded into a double play in the 4th. Ooh, that just missed. 2 balls and a strike.
There was a time, Jay, in this game when you'd be successful stealing 85% of the time that it was worth running when you were down 3-0 because you knew that you might be able to manufacture a run. But the way clubs hold runners on so closely now with the pitchers and quick pitching home, you're taking a chance it's not worth it.
Back to the screen. 2-2. Twins are leading the Indians in the 8th inning, 6-3 at Cleveland. Off-speed pitch is foul. Later it'll be Milwaukee at San Diego, Colorado at San Francisco, Pittsburgh at Los Angeles. The Mets play in Philadelphia tonight.
And without going through all of the scores in the Cardinals minor league system, the summary would be that the minor league clubs are 10 games over 500, so they're off to good seasons.
He's working on that peanut, isn't he?
Memphis Redbirds, Springfield Cardinals, all both playing pretty well, but the lower A teams really playing well.
Here's the 2-2. Hit him. Roland stood right there and took it. Let's look at Carpenter's reaction here.
There's a guy, Jay, we may see sooner than later, a guy, Daniel Descalzo, who's having just a great season down in AAA. John Jay was named the minor league player of the month, and he is with the club now. But Descalzo is also playing very, very well.
Here's Jay Bruce with 2 on and 2 out. Outside for a ball. Bruce is grounded out in the second. He struck out in the 5th and reached first on a pass ball. And into center field. Rasmus on the run. At the track. Makes the play. 5.5 innings. 3-0 St. Louis. McDonald's.
And that youngster is showing the other youngster how Albert Pujols swings. He's going to be leading off this inning. The fans here getting to run the bases after the ball game here this afternoon on a beautiful Sunday in St. Louis.
And talking about love, you'll love Cardinals Ticket Fest going on right now at McDonald's. Pick up an Egg McMuffin extra value meal for breakfast. Get up to $50 off great seats to a Cardinals game. Ticket Fest only at McDonald's. Ball 1 to Albert. He's grounded out and struck out. Strikeout back in the 3rd part of a double play. Ooh, foul. Three runs on 6 hits and no errors for the Cardinals. They've left 2. 0-2-0 for Cincinnati. They've left 5. High fly ball into center. Stubbs makes the play. Join News Channel 5 at the Siteman Cancer Center. This year's Race for the Cure. You can join our team led by Art Holliday and Jennifer Blome. Visit KSDK.com. Registration ends May the 22nd at noon. Thank you for helping us in the fight against breast cancer. Rasmus is flied to center and grounded out. Another final. Detroit beats the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 5-1. Strike 2 to Colby. Came into today's game batting .304. Average just dipped below 300. And down he goes. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals. That strikeout is number 6 for Harang. And Freeze bats.
Reds sure have handled Colby Rasmus in this series. That's 0 for 11.
Yep.
Against the Reds, and you mentioned earlier, Jay, he was hitting .344 going into this series. Again, in the top 5 in the National League in batting at the time.
Freeze homered in the second inning, his 3rd of the year. He grounded out in the 4th. David stands in with a .338 batting average. 0-2.
Harang sure has battled here this afternoon. Stayed in this game. It's still a ball game, 3-0. The Cardinals have won most of their games when they've scored more than 3 runs. That's kind of been a particular score that if they get more than 3 runs, they win. And I guess that'd be true of a lot of teams, but it's certainly been true of the Cardinals this year.
The Redbirds 16-8. A team batting average of .257 coming into today's game.
14-2, Jay, if they score more than 3 runs. So let's get another one.
That's low. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And there's the defense behind Harang.
First baseman is way off the line, and he gets it into the hole between first and second anyway. 2-out single for Freeze, who is 2 for 3 with a home run.
David Freeze with that opposite field swing. Pitch up and away is the perfect swing to take that way. It's a shorter path from where you are with your swing to the ball. You just have to center it, get on top of it, and that's exactly what Freeze did.
Yadier Molina.
Two things to look ahead towards here this afternoon is you've got a Cardinal bullpen that used Ryan Franklin for a couple of innings yesterday. He's probably able to pitch an inning today, but if Chris Carpenter falters somewhere in the next couple of innings, you're going to have to get somebody out there to be effective. And also Cardinals with Matt Holliday on the bench in case you need a little firepower later on. I don't think anybody's comfortable and safe with a 3-0 lead here in the 6th inning. I'm not comfortable. Maybe you are, Jay, but I'm not.
Another throw over to first.
Always want more runs.
Freeze is 1 for 1 in the stolen base department. Redbirds will fly east tonight to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and to Philadelphia. 4 in Philadelphia and 3 in Pittsburgh, and a day off on the 10th. It'll be nice to get that day off. This has been a long stretch for the Redbirds. After the day off on the 10th, Houston comes in for 3, and then the club goes right back out to Cincinnati for 3. And home for action against Washington, Florida, and interleague play against the Anaheim bunch who will come in. 7-game homestand.
Friday night was a long stretch, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
Just the day. 2-hour and 32-minute rain delay. I asked Tony about the club the next day. I asked if it was a short night, and he said it was a shorter night for us because we lost. If you're going to play late into the night with a rain delay, much better if you win the game.
Had their chances, and had their chances late even. 1 ball and 1 strike. Into right field. On the run, Bruce. And he comes over and makes the play in foul territory. After 6, 3-0 Cardinals. now get Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. You'll get the Cardinals logo on your debit card, credit card, and checks, plus extra base rewards with every credit card purchase. Learn more at a banking center or bankofamerica.com/Cardinals. Orlando Cabrera, the shortstop, leading it off. Cabrera has struck out and flied to right. Cabrera is now 35 years old. He is from Colombia. His dad, I remember, worked for the Florida Marlins. In fact, he was the fella who signed Edgar Renteria to a contract.
Is that right?
And the strikeout. That's number 7. Immediately following today's telecast, you want to stay tuned for the Dave Sinclair Automotive Group Cardinals Game Day Wrap-Up. Enjoy all the Cardinal highlights and action. Some insights, hopefully. News Channel 5 is your home for Cardinals baseball.
This is the second time that Carpenter has fanned Orlando Cabrera, who's in the top 10 in the National League and hardest to strike out. He just always seems to put the ball in play, but Carp's got him twice.
Lance Nix has flied to left and walked in this game. Hit hard into right, and a nice play out there by Ludwig. Ludwig on the run to his right, was able to judge that ball, jump, and get the play.
This ball is crushed. I don't know if Ludwig catches the ball or the ball catches him. As he catches it, he actually goes backwards. That ball was blistering off the bat of Lance Nix. And Carpenter now has handled the left-handers fairly well. We talked about that in the open as a key for him. He's been so good against left-handers, only batting just barely over 200 against him this year. Votto's 1 for 2. Bruce 0 for 3, and Nix is now 0 for 2.
Ryan Hannigan is grounded out and struck out. Two balls and no strikes. Tampa Bay has defeated Kansas City 1-0. That is a final. Three and 0. Strike at the chest.
Cardinals will be facing will be facing Joe Blanton in their first game of the series with the Phillies. Then they'll have Cole Hamels, Kyle Hendrick, and Roy Halladay in the fourth game of that series.
They changed that. You may not have caught the announcement because I think you were over in radio, but the Phillies are not saying who they're going to pitch in those final 2 games yet, I think. But it is Blanton and Hamels in the first 2, definitely. There's the walk.
And they weren't sure which one was going to start game 1, but it'll be Garcia. The Cardinals know who they're starting, that's for sure. And then part of the issue is guys coming off the disabled list, but the Cardinal pitchers have been so solid. The rotation is solid. It'll be Garcia, Wainwright, Penny, and Loesch in the 4 games in Philadelphia.
Johnny Gomes is going to be the pinch hitter for Cincinnati. Frank, you have some information about this young fella from California.
Yeah, Jay, before the game during batting practice, Johnny Gomes hit a towering shot that went into the upper deck in left field. There was a Cardinal fan that was not watching batting practice, and he got hit square in the nose. I saw the man about 45 minutes later. He was ushered off in a cart and immediately taken to the hospital. It looked like he was going to be okay, but it was quite a shot, and Gomes was worried they had really hurt the man, and apparently he did. But this guy was rolled off in actually in a stretcher, and it was quite a towering blast in batting practice. And
count of 1 strike to Gomes. pops this one up, and it's backing out of play.
It's one thing we always say to Cardinal fans, and any chance we get, particularly former players love to say this, is, boy, your head needs to be on a swivel during batting practice.
That's the area he was sitting in right there.
And you'd think up there you'd be pretty safe.
You never know, though, do you?
But it's why players wear gloves.
And Gomes strikes out. That's number 7 for Chris Carpenter. Cardinals have the lead, 3-0. And it's time for our Hardy's hot pitch of the game.
76 miles an hour doesn't sound very fast, but when it breaks that much, too difficult to hit. 3 in a row takes care of Johnny Gomes. And we have a Verizon Wireless call to the bullpen, and it'll be Carlos Fisher. We've already seen him in this series, and he's one of the middle relievers for the Cincinnati Reds bullpen. It's been pretty good the last week to 10 days, even though they're off to a very poor start. There's the numbers of Carlos Fisher. Opponents batting .400 against him. And he was a loser here in Game 2 of this series.
Fisher is from California. Came out of Duarte High School. Went to Citrus Community College in Glendale.
And Chris Carpenter's afternoon is also over. John Jay is in the on-deck circle. He'll bat for Carpenter. And Jason Mott will have the 8th.
One ball and one strike to Stavinoa. And another hit for Stavinoa. Nick getting the opportunity today, and he went down and got that one. He struck out in the 2nd, then Singles scored the 5th, and Singles here in the 7th.
That's a pretty good pitch, Jay. That's a slider down and away, fairly sharp slider, and he goes down and gets it and pulls it. I'll tell you what, I'd be a little confused if I'm Carlos Fisher, wondering how do you get people out if they're going to hit pitches like that.
Well, here is John Jay. Been called up from Memphis. There's Mott. And a nice feature by Frank Cusimano on the hard-throwing Mott in our pregame show today. That's high and tight. Carpenter goes 7 innings, no runs, 2 hits, struck out 8, walked 3. Except for that little shaky period he had there for an inning or so. Rick, he was, as always, battling and getting the job done.
Man just knows how to pitch. 100 pitches on the afternoon.
Into right field. John Jay reaches on a single. 2 on and none out. Let's see. Maybe it's time for Rick's Quick Fix.
Yeah, it's brought to you by Quick Lane. Brendan Ryan has struggled at the plate. No question about that in 2010. He does have a hit here this afternoon, but I think the big fix for him is to try to hit the ball the other way. He's been very off balance, and that's one of the things he's working on, is keeping the hands back, keeping the body a little bit more solid, bottom half. And when you try to hit the ball the other way, that's what happens. And my guess is he'll be bunting here.
And that's presented by McMahon Ford Quick Lane. Here is Ryan, grounded out, and came through with a double and an RBI in the 5th. 2 on and none out. Let's see how they're going to play this.
Now here's where you want to bunt the ball to the third baseman. And the reason you want to bunt it to Scott Rowland, even though he is a good fielder, is you want to make third base unoccupied. You want to get Rowland to come in. Of course, the first baseman will be coming in. And the question will be whether or not the shortstop goes to cover third or not. But the easiest way to make this sacrifice successful is to bunt the ball to the third baseman, make him field it, and the only play will be to first base.
Carlos Fisher doing a little pirouetting there to check the scene. Right-hander Massett is up in the Cincinnati bullpen. Ooh, that's high.
And the wheel play was not on. The shortstop Cabrera was staying put at second base. And the wheel play, again, is when the third baseman comes in, shortstop covers third, second baseman covers first baseman comes in. Leaves a big open area here, but you only do that when you know they're bunting. But if the shortstop hangs at second base, the only play for a third baseman to make, because it's unoccupied, is to throw the ball to first.
Popped up and no play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Harang went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 6 and walked none. A final at Florida. The Marlins defeat Washington 9-3. 3-0 St. Louis here. Cardinals threatening 4 more with 2 on and none out. It's wide. 2-2, or 2 balls and 1 strike, excuse me.
Could be a hit and run count here. Cardinals, of course, want to add to their lead. 3's not safe enough. See if Tony takes it off here. And it is.
And it's popped up into short left. Infield fly rule was in effect.
Tony does put on the hit and run to give Brendan Ryan a chance to hit the ball on the ground with everybody moving to advance the runners, but it does not work.
Massett is going to be the new pitcher as Mr. Baker walks to the mound. It's time for a Verizon call to the bullpen. We'll return with more Redbird action right after these messages. This portion of Cardinals baseball on News Channel 5 is brought to you by Sunset Ford. Click and pick today. Drive it home tomorrow. Visit sunset-ford.com. Redbirds leading 3-0. 2 on and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Nick Massett, his 13th appearance of the season. Young man from St. Petersburg, Florida. Played collegiately at LSU. 2009, he led the staff with a career-high 74 appearances.
And interesting that he gets the call against Skip Schumacher. A couple of lefties in that bullpen. Daniel Ray Herrera, he's been in both of the games of this series. And Arthur Rhodes is the hard-throwing lefty who's really their strikeout artist late in the game. And I guess because Cincinnati's trailing, they go with a right-hander against Skip Schumacher.
Massett was in the game Friday night. Schumacher at the plate, takes low. Massett pitched an inning. He gave up 2 hits, struck out 1 and walked 1. Center fielder is playing very deep. Schumacher last time out hit one deep to center field. He singled in the 3rd and struck out in the 1st.
That's one way to get them to play deep. Just hit one over their head, make them catch it against the wall, then you scare them a bit. Then you just bloop one right in front of them. Maybe that's what Skippy's doing here, setting them up. If it were only that easy.
That's right down the heart of the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Strikeout.
Schumacher looked like he had a hard time picking up this last pitch. As the bottom drops out of it, he pulls off of it. And Schumacher doesn't strike out a lot typically, but he's been fanned a couple of times this afternoon.
Ryan Ludwig struck out in the 1st. He singled and picked up his 11th RBI of the season in the 3rd, and then flied to right in the 5th. Stavinoa singled to begin the inning, and Jay pinch hitting for Carpenter with a single. They have not moved on as Ryan and Schumacher weren't able to move them along. Up to Ludwig, outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
I don't really fault Tony for the hit and run call with Brendan Ryan ahead in the count. He is starting to swing the bat a little bit better, and even though the book would say bunt him over here, I just think he had a chance to maybe break this inning open and the game over.
Two balls and a strike.
Very interesting what Frank was saying earlier about how Scott Rowland, the third baseman, as we look at the Reds defense, has totally changed the attitude of the Cincinnati Reds in the way they prepare for a game. And over the years, Jay, I've heard whispers and I've heard stories. I've heard some direct things said by Reds players that I know that they couldn't believe how lackadaisical things were with the Reds club. Pitchers could show up whenever they felt like it. Starting pitchers that come to the ballpark never get their uniform on if they weren't pitching that day, sit and watch TV. I mean, they'd say, okay, we're professionals, we know how to get ready. But, you know, sometimes somebody's got to say, you know what, there's a right way to play this game, and there's a right way to prepare, and Rowland's that kind of player.
Well, and my guess is that Walt Jocketty since he has taken over there.
I would guess
Cincinnati has cleaned up that mess a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not a matter of, you don't want to treat players like babies, but you also have to set some parameters of what it means to be a professional. Particularly if you have young players learning the wrong thing, then they perpetuate that. It's like, no, you're at the big leagues now. You don't have to work anymore. Well, that doesn't cut it.
Here's a walk to load the bases for Albert. It is Stabenoa down there at third and John Jay at second. Ludwig at first. Albert Pujols is 4 for 7 with 1 home run against Masson. Albert today is 0 for 3.
11 career grand slams. About an even dozen, Jay.
Way wide.
One of those grand slams, Jay, was against David Weathers, who the Cardinals, hit pretty well during his career. David out of baseball right now, but Albert has had a number of grand slams in his wonderful career, and there's not too many things he hasn't done right, Jay.
Here's the crowd on their feet. 2 balls and no strikes. The Ducks are on the pond. Bases loaded for Albert. Way wide, 3-0. The faithful here don't like it. They'd like to see something that he can at least take a whack at, huh? It's Dusty.
Dusty trying to stay positive, but how frustrating is that when you've got a pitcher 3-0 with the bases loaded? I'd be in favor of Albert taking this pitch.
Strike at the letters. Albert looked back at the plate umpire, Gary Darling.
The old saying is, whatever you get 3-0, you're going to get 3-1. Whatever you get 3-1, you'll get 3-2. So be patient and wait for a pitch you can handle.
This is into left center. It's going to go to the wall. Stabenoa scores. Jay scores. Here comes Ludwig. A 3-run double with the bases loaded for Albert Pujols. 6-0 St. Louis. RBIs number 22. 23 and 24.
Albert certainly gets a pitch he can handle here. He doesn't elevate it so it stays in the ballpark, but Albert sends everybody scurrying. And we'll watch the merry-go-round. 1-run scores. There comes the second, and Ryan Ludwig with a good jump off of first base. Jose Oquendo very busy on that 3-run double for Albert Pujols.
The pitching coach, Brian Price, out to talk to Nick Massett. I don't know what he says to him at this point. Albert now is 5 for 8 lifetime against Massett.
Well, Massett just didn't really throw him very good pitches that whole at bat. He got behind him 3-0. Chris Carpenter happy now. Got a little bit of a cushion for his bullpen to handle. John Jay with a productive at-bat, pinch hitting for Carpenter. Albert did his job, but you got to credit John Jay and Nick Stabenoa, role players for the Cardinals, for setting the table.
Rasmus is 0 for 3 on the day. All of this damage coming with 2 out. Strike to Colby.
It'd be nice if Colby can get back on track. Hitless in this series. And his numbers with runners in scoring position, not good yet either, 227.
That's fouled out of play.
But he's certainly been productive this year, Jay. 6 homers, 12 RBIs.
Well, and when he got the hit in the cleanup spot on Thursday, he really put on a show here. One ball and 2 strikes. Ooh. The runner would go to third. It was Hannigan made a pretty good stop, but then couldn't find it.
He had to fire his shoulder into that one just to keep it in front of him as that ball hit in front of home plate. Big hop and might have hit the umpire.
I think it did. It's a wild pitch.
No wonder he couldn't find it. Tried to throw his right shoulder into that ball. Just anything he could do to keep that ball in front of him.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Maskin steps off the mound. Wants a new set of signs. And the strikeout. But the damage is done by Major League Baseball's most dominant player, Albert Pujols.
Looking for
This portion of Cardinals baseball on News Channel 5 is brought to you by Window World, a proud sponsor of Cardinals baseball, and by Toyota. Thank you for standing by us. For more information, visit buyatoyota.com. John Jay stays in the game and will play left field. Jason Mott is the new pitcher. Mott earned his first save since September 18th of 08 with 1 2/3 innings pitched on last Tuesday. That was his 6th career 5-out appearance. And he will face Drew Stubbs, the leadoff man. High and tight. Stubbs has struck out, doubled and grounded out.
Couple of things with Mott. I think his velocity is coming back to the mid to upper 90s, which is where it was when he first came up to the big leagues. throwing very hard, and he's working on that slider.
This is Pop backing out of play.
He's able to command his breaking ball a little bit better. And there's no score, top of the first.
Well, they got the 6. So here it's coming back.
Time flies, Jay.
Ground ball. Ryan, nice play. Boy, he's fun to watch out there, isn't he?
Ryan's made a couple of very good plays in this game. He didn't have to go quite so far on that one as he did early on, but very good range, very smooth. Got a little flair, too, the way he plays shortstop.
He sure does.
All shortstops do. and Ryan's got a little flair and a little goofiness combined, but the flair is part of playing that position. You have to be confident. You have to be, I'm not sure, you got to have a little personality. Ozzie Smith certainly had a lot of personality.
Oh, boy. Yep.
And I'm not mentioning his name in the same sentence with this guy, because every time I do that, Jose Oquendo gets mad at me.
I can't blame you for that.
I'm not saying they're the same player,
no.
but I do know that Cardinal fans remember the flair that Ozzie Smith brought to this game. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith.
Phillips has flied to right, sacrificed and grounded out. 0-2 the count. A little high.
I wonder if Brendan Ryan has ever considered doing backflips as he came onto the field to
he might have thought about it, yeah.
I wonder what his teammates might think about him doing that.
I think they would suggest he didn't.
I would agree.
And the strikeout. Let's revisit Rick's keys to this game.
Well, we had 3 keys we talked about before this game. Carp versus the lefties. He handled them very well. Jay Bruce, not any production at all. Joey Votto just with a scratch single. Cardinals defense, we mentioned what Brendan Ryan has done. Defense has been outstanding all year long. And the young guys, well, the production did come from David Freese. A home run and a base hit and an RBI for Freese. Colby Rasmus not productive today, 0 for 4. But the Cardinals still have managed a 6-0 lead. And David Freese is a big part of that.
Strike 1 to Votto.
Our beloved Fredbird. Winning friends and influencing people. There he is.
Yep. Oh, that's nice work if you can get it.
Great job.
Sir. The bird is the word. Out it comes. And Ryan throws on. And Mott disposes of the Reds quickly here in the 8th. 6-0 St. Louis. Sunday, the Cardinals will be in the Steel City of Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. The Window World Cardinals game day preview comes your way at noon. The Cardinals and the Pirates next Sunday on your home of Cardinal baseball, News Channel 5. Freese will lead it off against Micah Owings. Owings from Cumming, Georgia.
I wonder if that's Tom Pagnozzi wearing his own jersey. Is that Tom? No, I don't think so. He was here yesterday, though, giving away his old jerseys, I guess.
And the first pitch from Owings. A ball. He was in yesterday's game, pitched a third of an inning. Walked one and struck out one.
Well, you don't want to be a pitcher that's known more for your hitting than for your pitching, but that's really where Micah Owings is right now.
He's a silver slugger, isn't he? Here's a shot into center field. Stubbs is on the run, off the wall. And Freese has his third hit of the day, a stand-up double.
Stubbs, the center fielder, overruns this ball exactly as he did on Albert's double early on, but Freese, more importantly, showing that great power, hits the ball off the wall, gets a little bit too close to it, and Freese would have had a double anyway, but that's exactly what happened on Albert's bases loaded double, and it allowed Ryan Ludwig to score because Stubbs overplayed the ball just as he did there.
Molina has grounded out, struck out, and fouled out. It's wide. Just joining us, Freese opened the scoring with a home run in the second. Cardinals get one in the third, one in the fifth. And then with the bases loaded, a 3-run double by Albert in the seventh, 6-0.
Yadier Molina's job, hit it to the right side somewhere.
2 balls and no strikes.
Yadi's as good at that as anybody is. He's just going to try to hit the ball to this side somewhere in between those arrows, and if he does that, he accomplishes his job. And Yadi's got kind of a natural swing over there anyway, Jay.
Yep, he does. At Yankee Stadium, even dozen cousin, the Yankees 12-3 over the White Sox. It's a final. It's a little low. New shortstop in the game is Yanish for Cincinnati, taking over for Cabrera. Mathers come out on deck for the Cardinals. There's a strike, 3-1.
Noticed in this series something just didn't seem right with Cabrera. 0-for-3 today. He does not strike out a lot. He's always been kind of looking at his hand as if it's sore and getting a little bit of a break here. The Cardinals catching the Reds at a bad time, we thought, coming into this series because they were so hot, played so well against Houston. But the Cardinals have an opportunity here, winning 2 out of 3 games against Dusty Baker's club. I still like Dusty Baker as manager. When it's all said and done, be one of the top 25 all-time managers in terms of wins at the end of this season.
Oh, no question.
And Tony a lot higher than that.
Molina strikes out. Cardinals announcers Cutter and Buck apparel is provided courtesy of Ad Creations. Contact Ad Creations for all of your promotional products and apparel needs. If you want people to remember your name, remember ours. www.adcreations.com. Here's Mather. bats with 1 on and 1 out. Freeze out there at second. David again is 3 for 4 on the day with that home run and an RBI. Inside to Mather. Joe batting 182. Has an RBI. Low, 2 balls and no strikes.
Mather, Stavinoa, Alan Craig, all with great springs to make this club. Alan Craig was sent down by the Cardinals because he's the guy they really felt needed more at bats. He's still not untracked yet in AAA, hitting just 143 since being sent to Memphis. But he'll get it right. I still think Alan Craig has as much upside of those 3 guys I mentioned, Stavinoa, Mather, and Craig.
And Jay, of course, was tearing it up down at Memphis, and he got the call. 8-11-0 for the Cardinals. 0-2-0 for Cincinnati.
Nice outing for Jason Mott. Talking it over with Tyler Green.
And anytime the corner.
Anytime an infielder's talking to a pitcher, you know he's out of the game. Otherwise, they'd be sitting there still nervous. But now, you know, just like all the weight of the world comes off your shoulder. You put your hat backwards, you lean over the rail, and you talk to your buddies. And you give way to Mitchell Box, who will have the night.
Here's Mitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Struck him out. Paid attendance this afternoon, 43,292. John Jay singled and scored back in the 7th. That hit popped his average right up to 286. In for a strike.
I still have neglected to ask John if he was actually named after the Supreme Court justice or not. The great statesman from Virginia, I believe.
You were correct.
Be a logical question to ask him, and I haven't gotten to that yet. Jay, what's the matter with me?
Well, got a lot of time yet. Well, you never know.
Well, if he keeps hitting, I will.
That's right. You know, he could be, but you know that he spells his first name Jon.
Well, you could be named after somebody and still have your own little individuality.
Yeah. You ask him.
I will ask him that. He's busy right now, though.
Right. 2 strikes the count. Freeze still out there at second. And the left field coming on. Nix makes the play. We'll go to the 9th inning. The Redbirds are up by half a dozen. Cardinals baseball on News Channel 5, brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. And by Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center at McMahon Ford. Quick, expert service while you wait. Mitchell Boggs is on to do the pitching. 9th inning. Redbirds up 6-0. It'll be Scott Rowland, Jay Bruce, and probably Yanish, who took over at shortstop. Boggs worked a scoreless 9th on Wednesday, and this is a leadoff single by Rowland.
And not a good start for Boggs, but a good opportunity for him to again get a chance to close out a game. I think there's a lot of folks that believe he's got great potential to be a Cardinal closer somewhere in the future. He's got great stuff. His ball moves a lot. He's got to get a little bit more command. There's the numbers for Mitchell Boggs. 8 strikeouts in 9 innings of work. He does have very good stuff. And there's that movement of that fastball down and away. That's closer kind of fastball, but needs to be a little bit more consistent with it. That last pitch at 96 with movement.
Jay Bruce 0 for 3 on the afternoon. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes.
I would almost say the problem with Mitchell Boggs right now, Jay, are the best pitches he throws aren't strikes. He's got to find a way to have that same kind of nastiness in the strike zone.
It's foul back. Boggs is from Dalton, Georgia. 8-9 starts for the Cardinals. Also making 7 appearances out of the bullpen last season. Attended the University of Georgia. And let's see if this one can play as Jay comes over. And yes, he has the play and makes it. One on and one out. And here is Paul Yanish. .27 years old. He played at Rice University down in Houston, and he's from the Houston area. He was on their World Series NCAA championship team back in '03. Reds' 5th round pick in 2004. He hit his only home run in his career against the Cardinals on the 17th of September last season. 1 ball and 1 strike. One and 2.
Okay, that last pitch right there was nasty, Jay, and that's what gets everybody so excited when you start talking about Mitchell Boggs and his potential. That pitch 95 miles an hour and the bottom drops out of it. I mean, you can't hit that pitch.
And the strikeout. Some sharp pitching there.
That's a good word for it. Sharp pitches, high quality pitches, and if he can do those more often, he's got a tremendous future in this game.
Yeah, he's got his best years ahead of him. He's only 26. Nix stands in. The fans start to stand around the stadium as the Birds, with a win here this afternoon, will go to 17-8. One ball and 1 strike. The Reds will drop below the 500 mark, going to 12-13. And a nice play by Freese. That'll do it. Redbirds take 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds. Only one loss on the homestand. The final 6-0. We'll be back with more in a moment.